Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Theorist, here with your host, JC Botero67. It's crazy to be back. It's crazy to have been away for so long. Usually my vacations are just a week long, but this one was a little bit longer because it was a cruise to Hawaii. It was amazing, and, hopefully I'll post, a few pictures on my social media. I have not gotten around to that yet. There's, too many. I just, downloaded them onto my computer yesterday, and I have 500 on my phone. It's insane. And my parents have pictures too that I want to jack from them. So I don't know. It's under 1,000 pictures, I hope, but I'm not gonna post those all to Twitter and stuff. But I'll see about posting some on my Facebook page, so you guys can check it out there. But anyway, I really want to dive into this as quickly as we can because there's a lot to cover. Like I mentioned before, I know I mentioned to some people. I don't know if I formally announced it, but I did want to do quick little recaps of the chapters that I missed, and then we'll dive into episode 296, which is this week's chapter. So without further ado, I'm at a loss for words right now. All right, so episode 292, the highlights for me were that we got a glimpse of Zahard's eye, which is a gold sparkly color. It was really cool. And it almost reminded me a little bit of Sauron's eye from Lord of the Rings, if you guys know what I'm talking about. And then, at this point, we're unsure if Mosjani got killed off, and, what is the fate for Borrow and company, basically. And then, going on to another group, I thought it was interesting that Edwan had Coon and Rock face off against Viol and Bomb against Kaseya. So it's kind of like a swap of sworn enemies. And then on top of that, technically, Bomb is facing off against the sea monster as well, which we will cover in a later chapter recap. But, yeah, I think it was really cool for Edwan to do that, so that way they're not facing off against their own sworn enemies. It's I don't know, I don't have the right words for it right now, but yeah, I thought it was amazing. It was really cool. And it's just interesting, to see Viol, who, basically is Bomb, facing off against Coon and Rock. When were we ever going to see something like that, Unless one of them turns their back on the other in real life, later on. I doubt it. I hope that doesn't happen, but yeah. So it's really cool to see that happening. And lastly, Bomb's Shinzou Orb. Hot damn, it's so cool because you see it, take on a color. I think it started off as, a kind of, orangey, and then it became, this, blood red color. And so you can already imagine what amazing techniques and power are going to come from that orb by just this sudden, new transformation. It's really neat. All right, so now moving on to episode 293. Basically, the focus was all on Kuhn this chapter, to his flashback with Maria, which I thought was endearing. You see him ditching out on class, he's focusing on fishing, and he's about to catch this fish. It's so great. And then he loses it, and, he blames Maria for it. And meanwhile, Maria's reprimanding him because, hey, you're ditching out on class, you shouldn't do that. And I don't know if he said, I don't know if he called Maria, oh, you're not my mother. I don't know if he said something like that. But then she retorted with the whole fact that, oh, I'm your older sister. And then it was funny because Kuhn was like, oh, well, if you're my older sister, then I have 3,000 other older sisters. But anyway, back to present day with Kuhn, he's frustrated, I guess, that he can't bring out this power. And, he's in shock that Rock was able to produce this rock thing. And so Kuhn's no, I've got to be able to find something within myself and bring that out to bring out my power. And I feel as much as he's tried to deny the power that he already had with this ice spear, he's denying it because, of the tensions that he has with his dad, probably the crap that's being given to him by his family. So, he kind of wants to create his own power and not have to rely on what's been passed down to him. But in the end, he embraces that, and so he ends up creating this ice spear, and it's magnificent. I love it. All right, so then episode 294, like I mentioned, the sea monster, right? It's interesting because the sea monster was trying to attack Kaseya rather than Bomb, And then, of course, Bomb saved Kaseya from any potential harm, which got Kaseya wondering, like, okay, what the hell? Like, this kid just saved me. Why? So it has me curious if that will somehow get her on their side. Maybe. I mean, you look at Andrasi's sworn enemy. He didn't betray Andrasi. He stayed loyal to her. And he isn't even fighting against anybody on Team Bomb. So, I mean, maybe we can expect the same from Kaseya. I know it's a little bit rougher because she has, like, this vendetta against Kuhn. But, you know, we'll see what happens, I guess. I'm also really curious of the beef between Irure and her uncle Urure. So, you know, I got this idea that, like, maybe they have a type of Scar-Simba relationship where he took over the family line, Urure did, when it should have gone to her. And so now I'm like, okay, what if Urure killed her dad or something? And so that's, like, the tension that they have between each other. I don't know if that's true or not. And, you know, we'll see later on what the deal is with their tensions. But if you guys have any thoughts or if you agree with me, let me know in the comments below. The usual stuff, you know. All right. And then going back to Kuhn, he quickly develops his technique. And he basically traps Viol in what Kuhn said in his own words is an ice rink, a skating rink, right? And he's got him trapped for now because we know that Viol's going to get out of there. So anyway, Moschini is still okay. Like, you know, she's obviously hurt, but, you know, she's not giving up. She's ready for more. And at this point also, Zahard is aware of the group in the underground, but he's keeping it to himself. But he, at the same time, you know, seeing Moschini get up, he's like, oh, okay, well, the only way to make you stop is by killing you, so that's what you're gonna get. So, moving on to episode 295. It was a little bit hard for me to deal with this chapter, primarily, of course, with Moschini and Marco. If they aren't dead, then they are at the very least severely damaged. I mean, it was crazy to see the blood, like, on all those panels. And, yeah, it was just rough. As for the group in the underground, Boro and company, because, what is it? One of the big breeders, so Big Breeder 3, I believe. He was the one who kind of showed up in the underground cave and was like, oh, hey, like, I'm gonna annihilate you guys. And he even revealed that the mirror wasn't in the original spot, so it didn't matter how far they made it and how close they were to getting the mirror, like, the mirror was no longer there. So anyway, some kind of, like, bomb goes off. And so we don't know the fate of these characters. I'm hoping that there's a way that they managed to save themselves, but who really knows? And also, speaking of the mirror, you know, where did it end up getting moved to? We still don't know, but we'll see, I guess. All right. And then Zahard is underestimating Bomb way too much. Those are my thoughts, because Zahard was all, like, getting cocky, and he's just all like, the 0.1% chance that Bomb had of defeating him has now disappeared. And I'm like, boy, no, like, you are underestimating this boy way too much. Like, I believe that Bomb has what it takes to beat Zahard's data. I mean, we've seen Bomb from season 1, you know, who's more of, like, the naive, sweet little boy. But we've seen how much he's grown in power, especially because Foog was controlling him and turning him into their Slayer candidate. So, and especially right now with that orb that he's growing up, like, it's incredible how in a short amount of time he's able to, like, grasp that much power. So I do believe that Bomb has what it takes to defeat Zahard. And, you know, Zahard just is too cocky. All right. So going back to Rock now, his arms are turning to stone. So more of his power is coming out, finally. It's interesting, because he kept eating rocks. It was really funny. And then Kuhn Adwan takes keen interest in this, because he's like, oh, like, he must be one of the native ones. Which I'm like, okay, what does that mean? And I'm like, does that have anything to do with that wall engraving of Rock that we saw several chapters back? I know it's a topic that I keep bringing up every once in a while in my reviews, but, you know. So, now that we're done with all the little recaps, we can now focus solely on episode 296. So, speaking of Coon, and Rock, I do want to read this conversation that they had. Because Kuhn, he was just watching from up top. He wasn't involved in these fights because, he wanted, obviously, Bomb and Coon and Rock to fight against the sworn enemies with these new techniques that they gained or are trying to, bring out, because Rock and Coon were still having the difficulties. But, they're finally getting the hang of it, so that's awesome. But yeah, so Kuhn just, steps down and he's like, hey, alligator. And it's so funny because Rock is like, I guess every Tom, Dick, and Harry is calling me alligator now. And so back to Coon Edwan, he says, you are a native one, aren't you? And Rock's, questioning that. He's like, native what? What's that? Is it something you eat? And then Coon Edwan says, it refers to the descendants of an ancient, a giant, who lived in this tower before we entered. That giant split his body into 5 pieces to create descendants, and we called them the native ones. Because that giant was so powerful, his direct descendants were also very powerful, and were able to rule and control the elements in the tower. So I want to pause there for a second, because there's this image here, and it shows all the different elements. There is a rock element, so that very well could be rock. Rock could be a native one. All right, so continuing on with Kunadwan. Each time they did control the elements, they were surrounded with light and changed into another form, just like your hands. And then Kunaguro, of course, has to, put in his 2 cents. He's like, that's a bit of a stretch, isn't it? Sometimes there are guys who change their body like that. There's no way this alligator is anyone that great. So Rock gets offended. He's like, what? Kunadwan responds, there are probably also people who inherited a bit of the blood of the native ones, but this alligator is a bit different. The descendants that I've seen in this place were only able to repeatedly change the attributes and form within them, but right now there's an element attaching itself to this alligator. It's almost the same as the direct descendants of the native ones who traveled with us. And now Kunadwan is thinking this to himself. But it's strange. The direct descendants from the pure bloodline of the native ones were all slaughtered by Zahard on the outside, and I heard that even the remaining ones were cursed and got killed. So how has he appeared with these guys now? And I love this nickname that Rock gave Kunadwan. He says, hey, Electro Turtle, stop saying weird stuff and just tell me how to use this. Give me power. Kunadwan responds, I'm not sure. The native ones that I know were able to freely use their power. They were super strong. And then there's kind of little side things here. It says, why are you so weak? Could it be that the curse was lifted a bit when you came here? And then Rock says, you're just confusing me with all of this hard stuff. And not him. Kuna Edwan says, it really is amazing. Whose blood did you inherit? And he's squeezing his cheeks. It's so funny. And Rock's just let go. And at this point is when Kuhn Aguro realizes that Viol has escaped. Because obviously the trio was distracted with this whole talk of the native ones and all that stuff. So Viol makes his way to Bomb, and he tries fighting him, but Bomb just refuses to kill him. And so Viol is like, why? Why don't you want to kill me? And so then there's another part here that I want to read, because Kuhn and Rock end up showing up, and he is a bit harsh with Viol here. Granted, it's not, the real Viol, but still. So this is Kuhn. Isn't it natural for Bomb to want to kill you? This catches, of course, Viol's attention, draws his eyes to Kuhn. And Kuhn, throws an attack at him, of course. Kuhn continues, neither Bomb nor we like seeing Bomb looking like that. Bomb isn't like that because he wants to be. You're a fake. You're just a Slayer candidate created by Foog at their will, who's different from the real Bomb's appearance, power, and behavior. Just get lost. To us, you're nothing more than a nasty ghost. And this just, pisses off the sworn enemy, Viol, and he's just all shut up. And he's about to... Well, okay. So he does try to attack Kuhn, but Rock kind of stands in the way. And he's like, I will not disappear. So that's Viol. This is still Viol. I've fought alone in order to protect you all. You don't know. how lonely and hard it was for me to be in Foog. Now you want me to disappear because you don't like having me around? What a joke. I sacrificed myself for you. I, and the past binding me to you, will never disappear. Tries doing another attack, but Bomb stops him, and he's like, that's enough. And I mean, he offers kind words to him, because Bomb obviously understands what it's like to feel lonely. I mean, this is him. This is, his copy, even though, Bomb here is saying like, oh, you're not simply a copy of me. But yeah, so because Bomb keeps fueling this like kindness toward Veal, it's interesting because Veal ends up getting absorbed into Bomb's orb. So, I don't know how that was able to happen. And, I have a feeling that he's not going to come back again. What I mean by that is, toward the beginning, we were told about sworn enemies that you kill them off, but they will come back, and they will keep coming back, like, no matter how many times you kill them off. But in this case, with him being absorbed into the orb, what are the chances of him coming back? And if anything, that will fuel more of Bomb's power. So, like I said before, he has the capabilities to take down Zahard and defeat him. And then, to conclude episode 296, we leave off with Mazino, Urek Mazino. He is in what is called the glitch room of the hidden stage. And so I have all these potential theories, because if you look at this image here, he's surrounded by, like, error messages. He's kind of toying with, like, a computer. So it's like, okay, did he possibly make Veal disappear? And it just kind of looks like he went into the orb. Or, maybe Urek Mazino just got there and is about to alter things. So maybe he's about to help out the Kuhn kids in some way. Maybe he will try and weaken Zahard's data. Other potential theories that I had related to the mirror. Will he be able to move the mirror back to its place? Like, obviously, Big Breeder and Zahard had something to do with moving the mirror, but Urek Mazino can easily move it back. Or, move the mirror to a place that anyone from Team Bomb, be it Boro and Co., be it Bomb, maybe even Rachel. I mean, she's not really Team Bomb, but, will the mirror get moved to a place where, it can get a hold of easily? So, a lot of ideas here, a lot of theories as to what the heck Urek Mazino is doing, because it's called the glitch room. Like, obviously, it's got to affect something on the hidden floor, So, that's my thought on that. And that's pretty much all I've got. So, if you agree, like I said, comment below. If you have your own thoughts, own theories as to what could possibly be happening, what Urek could possibly be doing, leave them below as well. So, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm glad to be back, and I missed you guys. And yeah, I'll catch you guys next week. Peace.